Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the White Chocolate Podcast, episode 27, but we're missing our chocolate this week. It's the white podcast.
Careful.
The white, I was going to go with white ginger, but then you got a little
inappropriate.
That's what I've heard. Ginger's not appropriate. Although my daughter says all the time, I love gingers. I want to be a ginger. She has a lot of red in her hair, so I don't know if it's okay for her to say it. Maybe.
I don't know.
Yours was red?
It's gotten a lot grayer.
Understood.
Yeah,
we're all there. But when you were younger, was it red?
Yes, it was red. I identify as a redhead.
I should. And by the way, I read that ginger and redhead are actually different. That ginger can be anything with that reddish hue and freckles and light skin, whereas redhead was like the real fully red. So I don't know.
Never heard that.
But anyway, this is Dave Braithwaite. Dave was a math teacher here at Neelsville. He's sitting in for Will this week. Will had some family things going on, and so schedules just didn't work out. But we always want to bring you some interesting content, and I wasn't able to find anyone interesting, but Dave did agree. No, I'm just kidding. How's that how you treat a guest?
I expect nothing less from you, man.
But Dave, and we did not coordinate the red shirts. That's just embarrassing. But yeah, Dave came in to sit in on our podcast, and I appreciate that very much. And as you know, I'm Dirk. So, but yeah, we're doing episode 27, and I decided we'll call this Music and Math Go Together.
They do.
Dave's a math teacher, and we're going to talk about teaching math and like a serious conversation later on about like what teaching math is like with kids these days. And Dave's done it at the middle school and now at a high school. So we'll talk a little bit about that. But first, Dave, I want to start with bullet points. And as always, we have 4 segments, as I say. Segment 1, segment 2, segment 3.
And the last one.
The last one, Dave
Gotcha.
Watches. All right. So bullet points. Oh, how flattering. They know my catchphrase. But the first segment's bullet points, Dave. And these are just 5 things that I observe. I have a list of a lot more, but I only picked 5 for today. And just to be getting your reaction, I'm going to throw out kind of the concept, and then feel free to kick in whatever you want. The first one, Dave, is vanity plates on cars. Vanity plates, generally speaking, cost extra. And again, you may know somebody that has these. I'm trying to figure out why, like West Virginia has some cool tags, and I was looking at the West Virginia tags when I had to get my new tag, and I thought, oh, maybe I'll get one of these pretty West Virginia mountains on the, everything but the basic one costs you extra money.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought, the heck with that. I'm not willing to pay extra money. But then to go one step further, like to personalize it with a scene is one thing, but to personalize it with an actual name, or for example, I have a neighbor who I'm sure doesn't watch the podcast, so I feel comfortable saying this, who has Mama G, M-A-M-A space G on the back of her license tag.
Creative.
I've never heard obviously her first name begins with the letter G. I have never heard anybody call her Mama G. I've lived next to him for 25 years. Never heard anybody call her Mama G. I feel like she gave herself that nickname and then put it on the tag because it makes her look matronly. She is a look at me person. So that made me wonder, is it just a look at me thing?
It could be. I will say in my neighborhood, we have a few vanity plates. And it's a certain culture that typically has it for my neighborhood. You can see.
Pleased to be describing the culture. Like, what do you commonalities you mean in the people that typically have them?
Yeah, it's a group. They hang out a lot together.
So like a clique.
Yeah, and so a lot of them have their names on their license plate.
Names.
Yeah, like their names.
See, and that's another thing. I've seen like the initials, RTM, HTM or something, and you're like, okay, it's probably their initials. The ones that I like are ones that are clever. The ones that I don't like are the ones that are look at me. And Will and I have talked about that. Mama G. There are lots of mamas in the world. There are tons of mamas.
Look at me. Have you ever heard about the license plates? I think it's Dubai. Where
Dubai? Oh no! I thought you said Dubai.
Since they're numbered, you can get like the number 1, or like the smaller digits, and the amount that those go for are millions and millions. People pay really big bucks for a small number license plate because it's status. So there are some that get auctioned off for crazy money.
So in other words, it's purely for the.
I believe it's Dubai. I was watching some show one time, and it was talking about it. Yeah.
So purely for the purpose of look how much I paid for my license plate.
Yeah.
That I don't understand that logic. I mean, I guess maybe, but I don't understand it. To me, that would be frivolity, like, or maybe it's status because only a very rich person could afford that low
Mm-hmm.
number, so you're showing
Well,
off
it's the
your
same
wealth.
reason someone's going to buy a McLaren over a
Correct.
Corvette. Doesn't go that much faster, and you're never going to drive it that much faster.
No, there's nothing funnier than seeing somebody in one of those cars doing 22 on 270 behind traffic
Yeah,
because they can't get anywhere.
yeah. And
But I don't know.
trying to keep a V12 at under 30 miles per hour
Right.
it's a job.
Could you, yeah. Could you ever see yourself, have you ever had a license plate customized?
No.
I
did have one that wasn't the typical Maryland one on once, but that was because that's what they made it on. It was okay. I felt special that I got it. It was just luck of the draw.
Did you pay extra for
Didn't
it?
Pay for it.
Okay. Do you ever feel like you would have a vanity plate?
No.
Okay. Yeah, I don't either. Do you know anybody, like close friends with anybody?
No, I don't know. I personally don't know anyone that has.
Okay. Fair enough. I was just thinking out loud. I don't want to voluntarily give the state more of my money just for a certain status. To me, that is the opposite of my goal in life. So I don't know. Anyway, and I'm who I am. I don't even know if I want other people to know too much about me. Maybe I'm private. I don't know.
You want like band teach or anything on there?
Or? A teacher of my kids who no longer works in that school system had the DR and then her last name because she was a doctor, and I guess she wanted everybody to know how much she worked for her degree.
Follow-up question. Is there anyone that you would have expected to have a vanity plate that you know that doesn't?
Yes. Perhaps, I don't think this person watches, but perhaps somebody who I exist very closely with. Only because, again, I think it's a look at me thing. And we used to have a teacher here, Will and I talked about before, not here anymore, who used to decorate his car with the Rudolph nose and antlers.
Yes, yeah.
That, I would expect that guy to have a vanity plate. Like, that's the type of person, I think. It's like, because again, I feel like it's a look at me thing, but who knows? All right, how about this next one? You go to the gas station, and let's assume they don't have the little tap where you tap your card to pay for gas or whatever. It's one where you have to put the card in, or maybe an ATM, and it locks your card temporarily until you.
Okay.
Yet it still says on the screen, "Do not remove card." You can't remove your card anyway. It like latches it into the slot. Why do they have something on the screen that says, "Please do not remove your card" when you can't remove your card?
Clearly, someone tried to remove it before
and damage the machine
or their card.
You know what? I'll buy that because I could see somebody
yanking on it.
Yeah, giving me the, you're trying to get the card out of the slot and couldn't do it. So, all right, moving on. You thwarted that one quickly.
I'm sorry.
No, that's okay.
Yeah, that's really weird. I'm sorry. I don't know why they do that.
I'll just edit that first part out where you came up with a great reason. All right, moving on. See, that's what I need. I need somebody to bounce these ideas off of that can clear my brain. Number 3, how big does something have to be before it's considered littering? You're driving along. There are times where you, Dave Braithwaite, have thrown out a dog hair. That's not littering, right? I mean,
no, because the dog could shed that, I guess. If they're just walking down the street.
You have some crumbs of your food, and like you finished a hot dog, you might have a little piece of bun or a hamburger, and there's a little piece, toss out food. You go, the birds will get it. It biodegrades. Is throwing out things that are biodegradable still littering? And if not, or if so,
what's the time limit on this biodegradable objects?
Well, it's not a styrofoam BB that's gonna. I mean, but again, okay, let's take a styrofoam BB. Not going to biodegrade anytime soon, but so small. Should you get a ticket for that?
But if everyone did it,
I agree with you. I'm saying, if a cop sees me throw out a styrofoam BB
and then pulls you over, that's the cop's problem.
Should I get a ticket for that?
That's different than is it littering?
That's a good point. But littering's a fine. I mean,
okay, so should you get a fine for that?
Yeah.
I would say no.
Okay.
Because any cop that's willing to waste that much time for a styrofoam BB.
Okay, but what if everybody did that? Then we'd have styrofoam BBs.
Then the cops would be very busy. They
would be. How about a styrofoam peanut? Like it's packing material, and you just found it in your shirt because you unpacked something, and you're like, How about a straw paper? It's paper. It's wet because they handed it to you next to the drink.
Yeah, it's already wet when you
get it. It's already wet, so it goes almost to nothing.
Yeah.
Straw paper. See, I still feel like that's littering. But I won't lie and say I've never done it because I'm thinking it's a straw paper, one rain, and it's already wet anyway. I don't do it as a matter of practice, but I have done it. Usually I take it and throw it in the bag.
I will say my kids toss things out the window here and there.
Uh,
Like I will say my daughter is not wanting to finish a lollipop, and she's like, I don't know a place to put this, and I'm like, well, just hold on to it, so that ends up out the window.
Okay, a lollipop stick again, paper.
Would I want to be pulled over for that? I really would. I really hope I wouldn't be. Is it littering? I would still say it's littering, but is it enough to get me pulled over? I would hope not.
And from how old roughly is your daughter, if you don't mind saying? 6.
Yeah.
So a 6-year-old, a little different than a 2-year-old, let's say, but still, how much do you expect, like, a 6-year-old to be mature enough to hold a sticky paper lollipop stick?
I'm not mad at her. She's not getting punished for doing it.
Right.
I say that's not the right thing to do.
Right.
And we move on.
Right.
Do I want to get a ticket for that? I don't.
I remember back in the old days when my dad smoked, and he would open the cellophane on the cigarette. It was just the top part of the cigarette pack. And would just, the little triangle window, like and that would always be open because when he'd smoke, that's where the smoke would go out. And so he'd just hold the paper there, let it go, and it'd go, a little piece of clear cellophane.
I think that's a good rule. If it can blow out on its own, it shouldn't be littering. If you don't have to, if you don't have to put effort in to throw it out the window.
Okay.
I think that's a good rule.
All right.
I think that's a good rule.
So if you hold it near the window
and the wind
it's light enough to be,
it's not your fault. All you did was let it go.
All
you did was let go.
I was hoping it would fall inside the door.
I thought I dropped it inside the car. I was wrong.
Okay. We'll go with that, officer. We'll go with that. Didn't you have law enforcement at some point in your family? Or
Me, no.
Oh, or your wife's family or something? Oh, okay.
My wife went to school for criminal justice, so she wanted to.
But... Okay. I thought you had some connections.
No.
But anyway, I was like, yeah, tell that story to your Uncle Bob, who's the state trooper or something. All right, good. So we've determined that if the mass of the object is not sufficient that it can overcome the suction of the window, then it's not littering. And if
this is a big object, that better go faster.
That's right. Yeah, if you drop a bowling ball, you got to be doing at least 400 miles an hour. All right, very good. I like that. Number 4, low-income housing at the entrance. This one's a little controversial. I'm not trying to put anybody down, but it falls under my. And again, please tell me this is a serious one if I am being unfairly judgmental. There's low-income housing at the entrance to my neighborhood. Okay, they're government-assisted, like little villas. Okay, and again, I'm in West Virginia, but they're brick. They're very nice. But I know that they're for people that are having trouble, need financial assistance. Okay. Yet outside of one of them, regularly there's this 3/4-ton pickup truck and a boat, which is underneath a little, not a very expensive one, but like one of those little sort of
carports,
canvas metal pole with a canvas roof tent to kind of keep the rain out of the boat. And literally these little villas have maybe 1/10 of an acre, and they've got it parked on a hill. And I mean, it's just jammed in there to the point where there might be 4 square feet of grass left that's not covered by the 3/4-ton. And it's the same. Look, I lived in a trailer when I was little, a mobile home when I was little, until my parents built the house that I grew up in. I have no issue with people who don't have a lot of money, but I feel like if we're subsidizing and this is touchy, so you can feel free to pass, but if we're subsidizing your housing, but yet you can afford a 3/4-ton pickup and a nice one, I mean, we're talking $50,000, $60,000. Now, I would say maybe it's a visitor, but it's there all the time. The boat's not there all the time, but the truck's there all the time. So unless it belongs to somebody else, I just feel like I don't understand the juxtaposition of I need government assistance, but I can afford a $60,000 pickup truck. I don't know. Is that just me? I mean, this is a more serious one. So
I feel like we may have talked about this before, I think, because I really think that is, I guess if you grew up without money, it might not be the easiest thing. So if you don't want people to see that side of you. So
we talked about this too.
It's a priority issue.
And I kind of wish Will was here, because I think Will and I have talked about this in the past. The sort of stereotype about people in the Black community owning Cadillacs or Lincolns or the really nice cars. And we talked about, maybe not on the podcast, but I think he and I have talked about this privately. Like, there were places where you were told where to live and where you could work. But the car was something, or how you dress. And that was something you could take personal pride in and you had autonomy over. So I don't know, maybe you're right. Maybe it's like when I'm home, I might have it my home shows, but when I'm out anywhere else, I feel better about myself. Could that be? So when they pull up on the job site and everybody sees, so more people are going to see their truck than are going to see their house.
Yeah.
And then you were saying something else about
Oh, I
like,
was just going to say that buying a house is more than just the monthly mortgage.
true.
So you have to have the down payment. You have to have all these other
That's
pieces in
true.
place. So that subsidy doesn't just lower their monthly mortgage; it gets them into a house.
That's true. And for a car, as long as
a car is a lot cheaper than a
yeah,
house
to get into.
Yeah,
That's a good point. I never thought about that. And also, I mean, I'm the other side of things, thinking I'd rather have a better house than a nicer car.
yeah,
And we didn't grow up with much money. But then again, the houses I lived in were ones my dad and mom built literally, like, you know, themselves. So it was different because they saved all of the labor costs to get
yeah.
in. But yeah, I never thought about that. That's a good point. Dave, I got to have you around more. You have
I'm
good
sorry.
answers. No, you have good answers.
Most of them are made up.
That's okay. I'll take it. The last one is a trivial one. It's a fun one. You at one point in your life rode motorcycles.
Yes.
And I do, or did, until a couple years back. The motorcycle wave. The little, you're driving along, the little,
they're just two fingers.
2 fingers out. I'm trying to get it on camera. 2 fingers out. And usually low. Usually down below the handlebars.
Just lower it down.
Correct.
Like a turn signal, but not.
Right. So I don't know if I can. It's usually just this gesture here, but it's down low below the camera view here. Would the motorcycle wave? How would the motorcycle wave look if the throttle were on the left side of the handlebars?
The other side.
No, because then you wouldn't see the guy. Like the whole part of it is that your hand and their hand are on the same side.
True.
So like you can just look down and acknowledge each other. What if the throttle were on the left hand?
Would it be more like the Jeep Wave then?
I don't know a Jeep Wave.
The Jeep Wave. Just the 2 fingers up off the wheel.
Oh, off the wheel?
Yeah, just wave. When you see a regular, if you drive a regular.
I'm riding my bike, I just throw up the 2 fingers?
Just 2 fingers.
Okay, I could see that.
Or out of respect, you took your hand off the throttle and still waved.
Yeah, you could if you weren't.
Because that's what it is. It's a respect thing. Like you respected, you know what they're going through because.
I'll go for that.
Yeah.
I always wondered what it was. I always thought it was we love the same thing. It's a brotherhood or sisterhood, whatever. People that ride.
We got cut off by the same butt couple blocks back.
Yeah, that's probably true. And or, it's the Rodney Dangerfield if we don't get no respect. So we got to band together. Yeah. I don't know. There's a motorcycle club right near where I live, which is really funny on certain days, weekends. I drive by and it looks like a garage right out of, Sam Crow and the Deadwood original or Redwood original. What was it?
Get it wrong.
Sons of Anarchy, right? Okay. They look like, they got patches and rockers and the leather vests and everything. And on certain days you go by and there'll be like 30 motorcycles outside what looks like just this painted white garage with the windows covered and everything. And you just go, is it really like Sons of Anarchy or is that just really an exact? I mean, I'm sure some are like the Hells Angels and some of these guys, but you just wonder, like, is this just a bunch of guys that are trying to? I don't know, man. I would have been too afraid. I never would join a motorcycle. I might join a what do they call a riding club because that's not as serious. But the MCs are like more serious. So I think I'd be afraid. I'd be like, no, I don't want to be committing crimes and getting beat up just to get into the motorcycle club. But I'd love to ride with guys. I'd love to ride on long rides on motorcycles. But I don't know. So you just think it would be the Jeep Wave?
Maybe
2 fingers.
Or you still just took your hand off the throttle. You can
somebody told me, you just reach over with the other hand.
That'd be cool. Weird. You cover your vision. You're awkward.
Yeah, you throw off the weight balance of the bike.
Well, then when I said that if you did try to do the Jeep Wave, if you're on a sport bike, you got a fairing, or even on a Harley with a full faired Harley, you wouldn't be able to see it.
You wouldn't be able to see it. So maybe maybe it'd be a head nod. Oh, that's taken. I don't know if we could use that. Well, certain bikers could. All right, Dave, that's segment 1. Let's go into segment 2. And this or that.
All right.
These are just down and dirty. Going to ask you whether you prefer this or that. I got these over sort of a would you rather. Got these off the intro nets, and we'll see which one you'd pick. Number 1, take out or dine out. If you're going to get food from a restaurant, would you rather sit in the restaurant or would you rather take it home?
So I think personally, I'd have to go dine out.
Okay. Even with the kids?
Even with the kids, just not having to clean up is just wonderful, or worry about any of the nonsense that comes with it.
I was going to say carry out, though. I will go carry out. I'm a take home guy. I'd rather sit at home. It's
I'm
just
also a
comfortable.
fan of like the warm food. Like it depends on, especially what
That's
you're
an
depends on
important
what you're
one.
getting.
That's an important one.
If it's just too far away from home and it comes back, it's just not
Correct.
good anymore.
And where we live, we're just far enough that the food, depending on what it is, could be lukewarm. And then
Like
I
you
agree
can
with
never
you,
go
especially if it's French
fries.
fries.
You
Right.
can never go fries. Like I love Popeyes, and we never get Popeyes.
Thank
We
you.
always do
Thank you.
carry out. Oh, yes, sorry, you do
Oh,
too.
that's me.
But the fries, when you eat them there, might be the greatest fries ever.
They're good. They are good.
But the second you try to drive them home, and not even a long commute,
They're flimsy.
they get cold so
Yeah,
fast.
it does. I agree with you. We have, and certain foods you can reheat and be okay with it. Like we'll
Fries are
do
not one.
Panda Express.
Okay.
Take Panda Express home. Panda Express is about 20 minutes from our house because we just live in the middle of nowhere. So we have to drive a little bit to get. We take Panda home. My wife will actually dump it out on a real plate, heat it up. Fine. Usually cover it with like a wet paper towel.
Yeah, something the moisture into,
yeah.
or else
And
the rice gets dry.
You're right. And so that perfectly good because you can reheat it. But I agree. A burger you can reheat to a certain point.
Too, yeah.
But you're right. Fries will never recover. Once that grease is soggy, there's nothing you can do.
Yeah.
So you'd say dine in rather than
typically
takeout.
it's carry out simply because
Easier
it is
with
more
the kids.
convenient with the family.
Yeah.
It is easier.
A family of 12.
Yeah, all 18 of us.
How many of them are there?
Just 2 kids and the wife.
2. Okay, so
yes,
4.
My wife
family
has 3
4.
kids.
Okay. Oh, you, counting you. Okay, I got you. Took me a second. Sorry, it's the end of a day, Dave.
It's been a long day.
It's middle school.
High school.
Video games or books?
I would love to say books.
Yep.
But I cannot say it.
I can't either. I can't. We agree.
I do enjoy a good book. And if I can get into a book, I'll read a book.
So you are the kind of guy who, not ADD, but you're the kind of guy who needs action.
ADD.
Oh, okay. I was going to be nice.
I need to fidget. I need to do something.
So reading a book just doesn't suit me for that reason. Like I don't need to fidget, but my brain just can't settle in on just one thing.
So starting a book is always hard for me. So, but if I can get into a book or a book series, I can typically go through a book pretty quickly. If I'm into it, if I'm interested in it and I'm bought in, it's a lot easier for me to reach for that book. But the first few chapters of any book, I struggle to keep myself interested in it.
Yeah, it's got to grab you pretty quick. Yeah, I've read a few books, not a lot, honestly, and I'm embarrassed to say that too. But the ones that I have read are usually like true story books. Like I love the John Krakauer's book about Into Thin Air, where they climb Mount Everest.
Okay.
He also wrote Into the Wild about Alex McCandless or something, Christopher McCandless, I think, who went up to Alaska to live sort of the modern day, was it Emerson or Thoreau, went to live deliberately in the woods and gave away all his possessions. I like true stories about sort of man versus himself and nature at the same time. I like that motivational, like guy just pushing himself or woman pushing herself to just do something that is exceptional. I like reading that kind of stuff. All right, the next one. So we're both video games. Ninjas or pirates?
You gotta go pirates.
You do.
There's no.
The language, pirate language.
They're
number
cooler.
1.
Ladies love pirates.
Swords play.
Well, ninjas, yeah. Their pirate swords are better.
Well, they're better. I feel like ninjas might be better. I don't know. Are ninjas better with swords than pirates?
I feel like ninjas can use anything. Isn't that what makes them a ninja?
I guess. And they have those little throwing stars and stuff too,
true.
Which are cool. But their outfits, all black, that's really bland. Pirate outfits were cool. And I don't know any ninjas with a peg leg.
That's true.
Or
a patch.
All right, pirates. Or a parrot.
Ooh. A ninja with a parrot would be useless.
Rock, here he comes. All right. Dave, pancakes or waffles?
I'm going to go pancakes.
Okay.
I like waffles. I do enjoy a nice waffle. A Mickey waffle is delicious always.
Yep.
But pancakes, you can stack them up easier. You can eat 4 at a time, and it's not hard to get through.
I often, Will and I have talked about this. I'm not a pancake lover. For some reason, I sometimes feel badly after I eat pancakes. I don't know what it is, but I can eat sweets with the best of them, but I don't know if it's the syrup. Syrup, not syrup.
It's syrup.
By the way, Will looked it up online because he battled with me. It told him it was syrup. So he was like, fine, you win. But I don't know if it's that
Hold
or
on,
what.
online. Where online?
I don't know. He didn't tell me. He just said he looked up the pronunciation and it came back with syrup
Okay.
as the first. So I don't know. All right. How about the next one? I'll take pancakes too. A waffle is good for a treat type breakfast. But if you want to sit down and just get full, pancakes are much easier.
And they're much
to
easier to make.
They
I
are.
mean, pancakes, you don't have to worry about filling the waffle maker, cleaning the waffle maker.
Yeah, don't even get me started. Live in LA or live in New York?
I'd take LA.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I would not. I don't think. I've never been there, to be fair. Have you been there?
I haven't been to LA, but New York's busy. And I don't like busy. But also, just the weather seems nicer in LA.
Okay, you're winning me over. Again, this is my prejudice. I've always heard that, and sorry for my relative that watches in San Jose area, I've always heard that LA specifically, between crime, traffic, and just, I don't know, the rich like, I don't know if I don't know if I could find a place to fit in there. You know, California maybe, but LA
where would you fit in New York?
I don't know.
Now, are you talking like the state of New York or New York City?
Well, I feel like New York City, I was thinking since they said LA, it would be New York City to compare it against. But I like East Coast. I don't know why I like East Coast better. No, you know what? I don't know what I like. Because I'm sitting here thinking, and I came up with these.
Great question.
I don't know. I like New York, but you're right about the pace.
Like, if I couldn't slow down, like, I shouldn't have to hurry to get across the street, or like even DC is slower than when I've been to New York. It's just always been a lot. And nothing. I love visiting, but I would not want to live there.
All right, that's fair. That's fair. You might have talked me out of it. Cupcake or donuts?
Donut.
Yeah, cupcake is great for the icing, but too much of a pain to eat. And you can even take that trick where you know the cupcake trick, cut it in half,
and make a sandwich. Yeah,
you can do that. My sister-in-law, the one that I had on the podcast that bakes cupcakes, she is very generous with the icing, and let me tell you, I appreciate that. But when the top is bigger than the bottom, and you go to try to your nose, it's
everywhere.
You got to finagle it, and then it'll fall apart on you. And
so my wife likes the Georgetown cupcakes, and she likes these
them,
ones they're called lava fudge.
Okay,
and the inside of the cupcake has like a fudge, like it's chocolate
like
sauce,
a ganache,
something inside the cupcake. So there's no.
Did I get that right, Sammy? Is it ganache? You have to make a comment. Tell me if I got it right. But yeah, it's like a chocolate.
Yes, you can't. There's no splitting it to make the cupcake sandwich or anything.
It's filled.
Just all mess. They're delicious. But like you're saying, I mean, you basically have to take a bath after you eat one.
I'm a fork cupcake guy. I don't even mess around with it.
Oh man!
I take the fork in the top.
No.
I can't do it, man. I can't stand the stickiness. Will makes fun of me because
you can't use utensils on desserts.
I'm sorry.
It's not pie. I guess some pie.
Yeah, pie you can. Yeah. But like, I take the fork, I stab the top of the cupcake, use it to peel off the foil or paper around the bottom, then set it back down.
That's too much.
Okay, well, that's better than all over your fingers.
You can wash your hands.
Oh, that's right. You don't cap that, Susan Austin. All right, I sold her out. I should bleep that out. But anyway, I'll edit that out. All right. Call or text? Would you rather get a call from somebody or a text?
Depends.
I figured. Let's say it's just
someone I want to hear from. Call.
Okay.
Someone I have to hear from.
Bugging you to come do the podcast? Text.
Someone I have to hear from, I'd say text. Like my kid's doctor's office will text now, and I appreciate that.
Well, because you can't always take a call, especially with our job.
Exactly. So I don't want to sit there and answer a call for them to remind me I have an appointment.
Right. Agreed. Even Johns Hopkins physicians, where I go, my primary care, all text or through their app, which is great.
Yeah.
So bling, you have an alert message, you open it up.
Great.
No fuss, no muss. They let me know. My doctor's office, however, or dentist's office, calls the house. This is blah, blah, blah with your 2-week reminder for, it's like a little antiquated. I don't mind, but text would be better because everything is on our phones.
Right.
All right. Would you rather be 5'2" or 6'9"? How tall are you, first of all?
I say 5'12" on a good day, but typically around 5'11".
5'12". Would you rather lose 10 inches or gain 10 inches, basically?
I would have to grow. I wouldn't want to be shorter.
I'm 6'3.5". I have trouble fitting a lot of places, not just because of my weight, but because of my height and the length of my legs. Go to a movie theater. Yes, I also have a width issue sometimes, but More than that, an auditorium or a movie theater, I have a length issue. I just cannot get my legs without mashing my knees against the chair in front, especially if I go to like one of my kids' concerts and you're in an auditorium. There's no way
So
I'm
what's your
folding my
answer?
legs in there. I think I'd go shorter. I've
So
been
now you
tall.
want to live in New York and also only be 5'3". So you won't be able to see over anyone around
I
you.
won't go to any of the parades, and I can stand under anyone's umbrella
You
when it
won't know when
rains.
cars are coming. You won't know where you
I
can
got good
go.
hearing. I'm a musician. All right, let's.
I think that yeah, the size thing might be an issue. But
You bang your head an awful lot on stuff, even
I
at my
believe it.
height.
I believe it. But just argument's sake,
Yeah,
we work in a middle school.
yeah.
You
You're
would
right.
be much shorter than most of the students here.
There's no doubt that height brings authority. When somebody's tall, I mean, most presidents, isn't it a fact that there hasn't been a president under like 6 foot? I mean, most presidents are over 6 feet tall.
Yeah.
So there's no doubt that height sort of implies strength, or strength's the wrong word, authority maybe. So I definitely know that because of my size, people defer to me a little bit, like kids, adults even. Sometimes when I look at pictures of me with like the other teachers and I go, my gosh, am I really that much taller than, the PE teachers that I'm here with? Or you remember the PE teacher JM that was here before, the male that sat in the
Mm-hmm.
corner? I saw myself next to him in a picture once and I went, am I really that much? I mean, I'm literally head and shoulders taller, and I don't feel that way, but I look like a giant when I take a picture with people sometimes. So, um, snowball fight or water balloon fight?
Water balloon.
Yeah, for sure.
Temperature wise, it's warmer.
You don't like cold?
Snow's great, but I'll take summer any day.
Snowball hurts. Water balloon doesn't hurt. A snowball
If
can
it doesn't
hurt.
pop, it could hurt.
You think?
A water balloon that smacks and doesn't pop.
I guess, but I feel like that ice, that little bit of icy center
You
where it
didn't say
melted a
ice
little.
balls.
I
You
know,
said
but
snowballs.
okay, but fine. But every snowball has just, no, not every, but a lot of times there's that little melt factor, from
Yeah,
some of the snow they gathered. But even a snowball, when it hits, there's a little bit of impact that
but
I'm
you're
not.
also padded for a snowball fight.
Yeah, but I'm talking in the face. I'm thinking when it hits you in the face. I'd rather take a water balloon to the face than a snowball to the face.
Oh, I don't know about that.
Really?
Uh,
Okay. I guess. Audience, you got to let us know.
rubber slapping your face.
Yeah, but theoretically, if it's supposed to burst.
Okay, let's try.
Okay, we'll try it after the podcast. Dave and I are going to go hit each other in the face with different objects, and we'll report back later what we like the most. All right, and and the last one, Dave, number 10: eat ramen noodles for breakfast or eat cereal for dinner.
I'll take cereal for dinner.
Me too.
I'm not a breakfast guy. I don't really enjoy eating breakfast.
Okay.
Most time I'll skip it.
Breakfast is my favorite meal of the day, but I hardly ever eat it. But if it's a Saturday, going out to Chick-fil-A is my wife's favorite place. But if I go to Chick-fil-A and get the bacon, egg, and cheese biscuit, that's heavenly to me. It's very delicious. And no pun on Chick-fil-A.
But what time are you getting to Chick-fil-A for that though?
8:30, 9 o'clock.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, not early, but not, I mean, I sleep in a little, but
Not
we
like
have a
before,
dog.
it's
So.
not like before school breakfast.
I don't go, to be honest, I'm not hungry when I first wake up in the morning. It takes me an hour or two to feel hungry. I'm not hungry at 5:30
And then
a.m.
once I'm moving at school, I'm not hungry while I'm teaching.
You're too busy.
Yeah.
You don't think about it.
Most times I just miss breakfast.
Yeah, I don't do breakfast either, and I really should, but I don't. All right, Dave. Well, that was segment 2. Let's move on to segment 3. We're going to call this School Days, and I just have I'm going to treat this like a little interview of you.
Okay.
So people
You guys haven't done an interview yet, so.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. I mean, we kind of did with Logan a little, and we did a little with Sammy when she guested about. But I'll be honest, I like doing this kind of stuff with the podcast. I've even thought about. I haven't talked to Will about this yet, but whether I might do a little side half hour once in a while where I just find somebody that's interesting and put something out, just in between. Or I love talking to people and learning about what they do. So you are a math teacher. You've been a math teacher for how long?
10 years.
And the first, how many of them were
9
here?
were here at Neilsville, so this is your 10.
I didn't realize this was only 10. I felt like you'd been teaching longer than that. What do you love about teaching math?
Well, I love teaching in general. It's always been fun to help someone learn something. So I've always enjoyed that in coaching and different things that I've done over the years. It's always been fun to help someone else learn something. Math in particular, one of the nicest things about being a math teacher is grading. I look at what English teachers do, what history teachers do.
Very objective
Well, not
for
just
you.
that, for the amount. I could not imagine grading a stack of essays. We have 150 students and most teachers
Hmm.
around there.
Hmm.
Try and grade 150 essays. It's
With fidelity, without just reading through it and throwing a number on it.
that's so hard. I mean that's
Yeah,
very like I can grade a whole math test, like a class worth of math test in the planning period. I don't have to
gotcha.
worry about it. So that's very nice. The other thing about math for me was math always kind of came easy to me because it made sense to me. So it's always been fun for me to try to figure out why it doesn't make sense to someone else.
Yeah, and math, I feel like math fits some people it just clicks with. It's not an intelligence thing, but some people it just clicks with because math, I think, is very spatial, and I'm a spatial person. I
Mm-hmm.
think it's patterns. It's not, I don't see math as numbers as much as I see it as patterns. It's almost a physically satisfying thing to do because, like you say, it makes sense. It
Mm-hmm.
fits.
It's a puzzle.
There was one time that we were asked to do peer observations, and I got to come up to your room, and I just watched you teach a few. It was just the beginning lesson in a unit, and just all of the different ways. And people that scroll TikTok or YouTube or Facebook Reels, you see all these little tricks. Oh, look, you can just take this number. Math is almost magical in some ways, in the ways of the properties of being able to manipulate things and find shortcuts or patterns that exist in mathematics that are fascinating. But what I loved about math as a student was that in English class they'd say, "Well, what do you think the author meant when they said?" I'm like, I mean, I can guess, but I don't know. Ask the author what they meant. But if it was math class, they'd say like, "Well, what is 2 plus 2? Oh, well, I know that's 4. It's 4 every time. It doesn't matter whether this author does 2 plus 2
Mm-hmm.
or that author. I don't have to infer anything. It's literally right there in front of me." And I always felt like that was
Well,
easier.
that's why I liked math class growing up. When I was younger, I wasn't always the greatest student. Like you're saying, I'm a little squirrely. It's hard for me to sit still and do nothing. If I'm not doing anything, I'm not listening to you. It's just
Mm-hmm.
I'm either drawing, fidgeting, talking to
Mm-hmm.
someone else, which was disruptive for everyone around me. But that's how I learned.
Right.
So when it came down to it, no matter how much I made a teacher not like me, or the teacher was frustrated with having me in the classroom, they could
You
never tell me
always,
I was wrong.
right,
If I got it right, I was right. If
right,
I was wrong, that's fine. You win. I was take my points away.
right. Yeah.
But if I got it right, you still had to give it to me.
What do you think is different between teaching here at our middle school where we are now and at the high school that you're at? What do you see differently? What grade do you primarily
I
teach?
have mostly ninth graders, so it's
Okay, so it's 1 year
just one
apart.
year up.
Is there a big difference? And if so, what do you notice?
I think one of the biggest differences I've noticed so far this year is it's a level of maturity. The eighth grade to ninth grade, there's the student. I have a few students that I taught here that now I'm teaching there,
That's funny.
and they seem more mature.
Do you think it's just a physical, this is high school now and they start to feel like a grown up, more like it's a physically different place, therefore it's all like they say the clothes make the man, like when you dress up you notice kids behave differently than when they're, maybe it's I'm walking into a high school and also they're looking up at the upperclassmen and they're not seeing seniors hopefully running around the hallways smacking each other, and they go, "Oh, okay, that's not going to be considered cool by the people that are seeing me here."
I think there's that, but also the sheer size. We went from a staff. Our staff isn't small here. We had 70 teachers at
Hmm.
Neilsville. We had seven
Hmm.
teachers.
Hmm.
I'm going to a staff of 250.
Gotcha.
So the students that jump up that much as well. So it, our eighth grade class of 300 here last year becomes a very small part of this
So
huge group of people.
small fish, big
So no
ocean
matter how
now.
cool
Yeah.
you may be to 10 kids around you, no one else cares.
Right.
So if
You're humbled.
yeah, you no longer are the king of a school
Yeah.
because you know that 5 to 6 cool kids
Are
here
going to
and
laugh
there
at what you did in the hallway or
because
something.
no one else cares that you're doing that. So it
Yeah.
stands out. You're standing out for not good reasons
Yeah. That makes
because everyone
sense.
else is in class, everyone else is doing what they need to do. I think
Yeah.
there's some of that.
It's probably like I say that with the students I teach doing music, obviously. It's how shall I say it? They're generally the best of the best. Like they're generally more serious about school than other students. And so when you take a student who has maybe behavioral challenges or disciplinary challenges and you put them into a classroom full of kids who don't think it's cute when they fart really loud or burp or point to the kid next, you know what I mean? They don't have an
Yeah.
audience anymore. And all of a sudden that kid will be like, I
Now he's
don't
just
have,
now he's just a kid farting in a room.
right. And
Yeah.
it's not, nobody's laughing at me. I'm not getting the attention I used to, kind of a thing. So yeah, maturity, I'm sure, is a big change. What did you like most about, is there anything that you liked about middle school that you don't get in high school, or vice versa? Is there anything you really like about high school that you didn't get when you were here? And I didn't give Dave these questions ahead of time, so I'll pad a second to give him a little time to think, because I did not tell him ahead of time what I was going to ask him. But I'd like to say that's my policy for
I
interviews, but I've not done enough interviews to have a policy yet.
I will say, well, the one thing that stands out as far as missing is in middle school, because it was a smaller staff, I feel like I knew a lot more people here. And that also came with the fact that I was here for a long time. But it was a lot hard, it wasn't hard to meet people in other departments. You were interacting with people from other departments all the time.
Yeah, there's only really 3 or 4 main hallways here, so you're gonna run into people. Yeah.
Yeah. So I went into a math department of 20 people.
Just for math.
Just for math. So
Gotcha.
you're talking about, I'm still learning names in just the math department. Because
Yeah.
there's still, since there's so many people, there's that anonymity where people can stay in their classrooms. And there's a lot of that where you don't see people
And
throughout the day.
I've heard over and over again over the years that I've been here, which is over 20 now, but how much people miss the camaraderie that we have at the school. And I really think that comes from 2 places. One, because we kind of needed each other. Our school is kind of we've talked about equity across the county, and our school had been overlooked for a long time. We're starting to get a little bit more attention now. We're getting a new building next year and all that. But we had to do a lot with nothing for a while. And we were sort of that educational band of brothers where it's like, we've all been through the same trench and we understand each other and we look out for each other. I had a moment last week, and I won't mention her name, just, for her identity, but somebody that you might not expect or that some people might not expect. I had a moment where in a staff or in a team meeting, I just felt overwhelmed. And at the end of the meeting, I came down here and I just started to tear up. And it's probably a lot of things in my life, son going to college, daughter doing this, wife going back, like a lot of changes right now. But I just teared up, and all of a sudden this person came in. It's going to be okay. Like, gave me a big motherly hug. It was just really sweet. And we've always looked out for each other here, and we joke with each other. We bounce ideas off. We commiserate when we're struggling. And I feel like I would be afraid to lose that at a high school, like with what you're talking
So
about.
I will say, there are people that are out in the hallways that are about that. There's a lot of interaction in the math team, depending on the period you have planning, or you do interact with certain people, but there's a lot of lost connections that because it's so big. It's just hard. It's just hard to know everyone.
Meet everybody.
Yeah.
All right. How about this? Why do you think kids are struggling so much in math classes? We always hear about math scores are low and this, that. What skills, and this kind of partners with my other question, what kinds of things do you think parents can or should do to help their kid do better at math when they come to school? Like, what is missing from some kids just are scared of math. They go, oh, math, and they run from it. How do you think that starts, or what are they missing? Like, how do you think we get kids more, because I love math, but you don't run into kids that love math too much.
I think that I like to start my class every year with, I call them small victories, just chances for the kids to win when it comes to math. I think at some point in most of these kids' career, they've just hit a spot in math where they just figured out they couldn't do it. In my class a lot, especially with my players, my students who play sports, things like that, I like to relate to math as a sport. And the first time they picked up a soccer ball, they weren't playing top quality soccer.
Right.
They were running around chasing the ball around, looking crazy.
Right. Yeah. Unorganized.
Yeah.
Clueless.
What it took practice, it took repetition, and they became a great soccer player. And math is the same thing.
That's real similar with what I do.
Yeah.
Because kids look at playing a trumpet and they watch somebody do it and it looks really easy, and then they come in and go, I can't even get the first note out.
I remember playing trumpet, and I remember there was kids that would learn how to make the sound immediately.
Yes, right away.
But some people had to work for it.
Yes. Flute is notorious for that.
I think that's the same for anything. And
So you think it's that, what do they call it, that learned helplessness of,
Yeah,
I've been bad at it before,
I'm going to be
so I'm
bad
going
at
to
it
shut
again.
down.
So I think it's got to be tough if you're just used to losing
To
to
like
keep
something.
playing the
Yeah,
game.
yeah. What what about like of technology now with kids and like the ABC mouse and the one two, like there's so many game related apps and things on phones and iPads that make learning more fun. Do you sort of scoff at that?
I I love that they're trying. I
Okay.
do love that they're trying. I know that we've used different programs here,
Okay.
but let me give it to you this way.
Okay.
You have your game night. What game are you picking up? Are you picking up the math, try to get through a level, or are you picking up Fortnite?
Yes, I get your point, but I was thinking for even younger kids who maybe I'm naive to think, but like 2, 3, 4 years old, where they're just starting. I mean, are those kids jump? I mean, I know what you're saying. Are they? So your point is you don't think it's enough of a draw to get kids to enjoy it? Because I know my kids did, like the learning ABC 1, 2, 3, whatever it is. But again, maybe it comes from teaching kids to love learning.
I would say so. Your kids loving that would have loved whatever you put in front of them.
Right.
That's a difference. So the
True.
kids you're talking about are the kids that are struggling with this.
That's a good
So
point. That's a good point. Yeah. So why, especially if it's something they don't enjoy or have ever had a bad experience
yeah,
with, okay, I can go home and I can practice my math tables, or I can jump on and play.
and
Okay,
even if you want other video games, what if you picked up a game and every time you picked it up you lost? Are you going to continue playing that game, or are you going to find something else you're better
yeah.
at?
Eventually, you give up.
Yeah, and that's just I think it's just that mentality. So I like to include a lot of little victories.
So, if
Just
you had to give advice to a parent of any kid, whatever age, like from birth on up, how do you try to instill a love of math, or that math is fun? Do you go the practical, oh, it's going to be useful, or do you try to find a different, like, hey, one day you might need to build a deck or buy carpet and you need to be able to figure out how many square. Truth is, maybe they don't because they'll pay somebody, but if you can do those things, I mean, I use math every day to figure out what I'm building something or engineering something, and I love, what advice would you give? Like, what did you do? Do you do anything special with your kids, or did you?
um, I mean, just encourage it. It's encouragement. I mean, even if they're not getting it right, just celebrating the fact that they're doing it. We had back to school, and I told all the parents on back to school, and I've always said it every year is my biggest thing in my classroom is effort. Right or wrong, I really don't care. If your son A, B, C, it doesn't bother me their grade.
Right.
If they're willing to put the effort in, they're going to learn it.
Yeah,
It's
they
it's
will.
just like it was at 10,000 hours.
Yeah.
You put in 10,000 hours to anything, you're going to be good at it, and that's what it takes. It might be 10,000 hours of just messing it up completely,
Right.
but
The Albert Einstein theory,
but
or
it gets
the light bulb. Thomas Edison got theory.
yeah.
I learned what 1,000 ways it doesn't work. Right. You
So
just
it's just that effort, and it's
yeah.
one of the so when a teacher sends homework home,
Are you a homework believer, by the way?
I'm a math outside the classroom believer.
Okay.
So what I
So
my tell my students 20 minutes, 20 minutes of actual work, right, wrong, indifferent. If you're struggling with it, you come see me later.
would you rather see a kid do 30 math problems on a worksheet, or do a recipe making a cake, or you don't care, a mixture of both? Like to learn
So
fractions, for
I
example.
always hated homework growing up.
Right.
And the simple reason was because it'd be repetitive,
Right.
drill and kill
Yeah,
problems.
exactly. And that's not really the way we're supposed to teach anymore.
Well, for me, if when I understood it, it was just busy work.
Correct.
There's no because when I understood, I understood. I could do it. I didn't need to practice it.
1,000%. I had a statistics class I took
Mm-hmm.
my senior year. I had already passed calculus. I was taking AP Calc, okay? And not trying to brag, I was just good at math. Took AP Calc my senior year, but I needed one more class to fill schedule. My girlfriend at the time was taking probability and statistics. Figured, I'll just jump in that class and be in there with her and we'll hang out. Teacher gave homework. You got to do these 50 problems or whatever every night or every other night or whatever it was. I was getting 104s, 106s on her test back when extra credit was a thing. But she still gave me a D because I never turned in any homework, or I
Mm-hmm.
earned a D. I shouldn't say she gave me. So anyway, I still earned a D in her class because I never did the homework. But
Mm-hmm.
I was acing all the tests, and I felt like it was a waste of my time. I'm not going to sit at home. And I've evolved on homework, to be honest, over the years. I used to think, oh, homework, you got to drill, you got to practice. I've come around to the idea that if we can't get it done in 7, I mean, other than a skills practice, like, okay, if you want to get better at foul shots, it does take that 10,000 hours, but practicing your instrument, you know what? Kids need family time. And maybe this is just me because I'm older and I have my own kids now, but it breaks my heart when I come home and my kid spends 3 hours doing homework instead of being able to spend time with the family. Like
Mm-hmm.
I resent that as a parent. And so I've noticed that as a teacher, I've kind of changed my expectations even for how much my kids practice at home. And I used to be the hard edge, no, you need to. And now I'm like, you know what? If you don't practice tonight, just leave your horn here. Go have dinner with your family. Like, because, and now I don't know, maybe half of them will go log on to Fortnite for 3 hours. But the point is, I resent at myself having my kids taken away by 7 hours of school every day and then another 2 or 3 hours at night.
Mm-hmm.
So, especially when they get it,
Yeah.
like you said.
But so my goal has always been just math out of the class. So if they're thinking about what we did in class outside the classroom or any sort of mathematical effort, that's always a win for me. If 15 minutes goes and you haven't finished it, I'll give you full credit if you show me your effort. And then you come see me and then we can work through. I can look at what your mistakes were. I can point you in a direction.
And that's my last question actually. What are the biggest roadblocks? Is it, I have my own answer to this, but I'm curious to see what you say. What do you see as the most common roadblocks for kids in math? And what I mean by that is it the memorization of formulas or math facts? Is it applying the formulas? Is it actually executing the functions in math? Like, what do you see? Is there a more common place where kids make math mistakes across the board, or does it really completely vary by child?
I would like to say it doesn't vary by child. I think it varies more by year.
Okay.
It was really crazy. I mean, working at Nielsen for so long, not a lot of teachers change in the math department. But it would be weird how many, I'd have a class that would all be making the same mistake. So it was maybe something that didn't get covered the same way the year before.
Okay.
So I'd run into things like that. But there are commonalities across for students who aren't math people, that they would call themselves math people.
Right.
It's usually a number sense, just understanding numbers, negative versus positive, what a fraction actually means. I mean, if you don't understand fractions, it makes math past algebra very hard.
Yes.
Just know that if your go-to is decimals, when you start getting to those repeating decimals, it makes a math problem really ugly.
Right.
Whereas if you keep a fraction in play,
1/3.
It's so much cleaner.
Easy and 1/3. Yeah.
And it's
because the reason I ask is because of the dreaded word problems, right?
Yeah.
I always feel like the biggest hang up with math is not identifying the problem and not identifying the formula, but identifying where and when to use which formula with the problem. In other words, I know I need to find, how much, like my example from earlier, how much carpet I need to buy to recarpet this room. It's X numbers of square feet. I can do that. But if it's a thing of like, well, but wait, I got to cut out for the couch and how am I going to put, it's sort of that multiple step thing. It's like, if I have an open room, fine. But if I don't need carpet where the fireplace is, but I do need it in this little strip by the closet, how do I manipulate the formula, the basics, to get to more specified things that I need? It's like that application part is where I always feel like I see kids break down. They'll look at the problem, they'll read a problem, or they'll look at it even if it's not a word problem, and then go, and I'm like, if I help a kid in here, because I like doing math, well, do you see what I don't? And there's that stare, like, I know what I need and I know what I have, but I'm not sure how to match them up. You know what I mean?
Well, that's that effort part comes into play. If you get them to put their pencil on their paper and get whatever they're thinking there, as a teacher, as someone who likes math, you can start to see what their thinking is and help guide in the right direction.
Thinking. Yeah.
So the word problems are tough. I will say, especially newer curriculums, the word problems they've started to try to add extra information into a word problem.
So the kids have to be selective and know not just how to do it, but what they don't need.
Yeah.
It's like when you got a matching assignment when you were in college or high school.
And there's one extra.
Now you're like, well, I can't use process of elimination. Or they might say one matching item could go to more than one. And you're like, oh, come on.
Exactly.
Because I can't cheat at all that way.
Yeah. But it really does force you, because it used to be where you knew if there was a number, you needed to put it in your equation. You knew if there was
Right.
they said something.
I must use this somewhere.
Yeah.
Now it's like, well, I don't know if I need that or not. And you have a lot more ways to make mistakes.
Yeah.
Very cool. That's segment 3. Anything else you wanted to say about math?
That sounds like you got it all.
Well,
math is awesome.
I was just thinking.
Math is life.
No, I mean, not as good as music, but it's pretty good.
Well, what would music be without math?
Nobody listens to math when they're driving home.
But isn't all music math?
A lot of it is.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, for Mozart, music was almost math. It's almost formulaic. Mm-hmm. Yeah, very, very much so. Not so much for Beethoven, but definitely for Mozart. All right, here we go. Segment 4. Segment 4, the last segment.
Is it the last segment?
Incoherent.
I thought I got to test you.
Oh, you want to test me?
That's I have some questions for you.
Oh, I forgot that. So
you don't have to.
We're going back to segment 3 for a second. Erase that part I said. Post-production crew, erase that, please. Back to segment 3, and Dave prepared I forgot. I asked him to prepare a quiz for me.
If you're scared, we don't have to do this.
I'm not scared. I want to give it a try. Hey, look, I'll embarrass myself. Did you see my baking quiz? I was not doing well. So I want to see. Dave's going to prepare a 5-question quiz for me. So Dave, hit me with it.
All right. I think I started off with a good one.
All right.
Should be easy, but it might get you. We'll see how it goes.
Thank you for remembering, by the way. I'm sorry I forgot that.
No, that's all right. How many diameters fit around a circumference?
Ooh, that's a great one, and I don't know the answer, but I think it's. Let me think about this. Maybe I can noodle it through. Diameter is diameter D, so D, that's across. Okay, a circumference. Now I'm forgetting my circumference formula. Wait. How many diameters? Okay, so that I don't stall the people at home too long, Dave, I'm going to take a guess and say 3.2.
You were very, very close.
Okay.
The answer is pi.
3.14.
Yes.
Ah.
That's why the formula is pi d.
Pi d is circumference?
Yeah.
Oh, if I'd remembered that would have given me the answer.
Yeah, there you go.
I figured, I knew it was more than 2.5, and I didn't think it was 3.5, but I forgot that it was exactly pi. That's why pi is the magic number that it is.
Yeah.
Okay, good. All right, so that's one wrong.
What is the only number with no Roman numeral?
Dave? A negative number.
You could go that way, but
okay, I know you're looking for an actual
number that exists, because you got to think about
that would have to be 0.
Yeah.
The whole number, right? You didn't say counting number, so 0.
Yeah.
Okay. What did the Romans write? Just nothing.
Yeah. If there wasn't anything there, you didn't have to write anything.
That's smart. Smarter than us. We have to write a 0. All right, so I'm 1 for 2. All right, let's see if I get 3 out of 5. That's passing. I got to get 3 out of 5.
Okay.
Okay. So I'm down 1 for 2.
All right.
I'm nervous. I'm actually doing this with my fingers. I'm actually a little nervous.
How many sides does a dodecahedron have?
Dodecahedron. The hedron part threw me off. Decagon is 10. I'm going to go with 12.
Yes.
Okay.
Dodec, 2 and 10.
I thought it was dodecagon. I didn't know what
dodecahedron. A hedron is just a 3-dimensional shape.
Okay, so it's like a 12-sided die for Dungeons and Dragons is a dodecahedron.
Yes, it is.
But a 12-sided 2D would be a dodecagon.
Yes.
Okay. All right. I'm 2 for 3. I only need one more.
One more. Right, one more.
These are fun. You did good.
I was trying to come up with trivia questions instead of math questions.
Okay. All right. Go ahead.
How many prime numbers are there between 1 and 20?
Okay. 1 is prime. So a prime number, if I remember right, means it's only divisible by 1 and itself. 1, 2, 3, 5, 7, 11, 13, 17, 19. Between 1 and 20, I'm going to go with 9.
Okay.
Oh, wait. Or 8 because 1 is not prime.
1 is not a prime number.
Okay, because
Nicely
it's 1,
done.
because 1 and itself
It's
are
not
the same.
1 and it's 1.
It's
Yeah.
1.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, so it is 8. Correct
8.
answer is 8. So that's 3.
Okay. Does that count? Because I had to wait for
I'll
you
give
to
it to you
scoff
because
a
that's a
little.
tough one.
Okay.
That's a tough one.
8. Okay.
That's a good one.
All right. Thank you.
Now this one is just a fun
So that's
one.
3.
That's 3.
Now it'll have an asterisk if I don't get this one right.
If you get this one, I'll be very impressed.
It'll be a win with an asterisk.
This was a hard one.
Okay. All right.
It's a fun one though. It's a word I like to use a lot in my classroom.
Okay. Go for it.
What is the name of the fraction bar?
I have no idea. The fraction bar as it appears flat, not as an angle.
Either, whatever you want to call it. The thing that separates the numerator from the denominator.
I have a word in my brain, but I don't know if that's what. Is it a virgule?
You're very close. You have the first letter.
Oh, what is it?
It is the vinculum.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yes.
A virgule, I think, is like a slash or a backslash. A virgule.
That's more than I got. It's above my pay grade.
Okay, so it's a vincule?
Vinculum.
Vinculum. That sounds like a body part.
V-I-N-C-U. Yes, it's a fun word to say. I like to tell it to my students because it helps them remember fractions.
I think there's something I was trying to Google it real quick, but I don't know if I can find it, that my dad used to call it a virgule, but I don't remember. Oh, apparently it's a commune in France, but I don't think that's exactly what I'm... Anyway, yeah, I'll have it maybe for next time. The virgule, it's one of the symbols on a keyboard. I know,
okay.
But I thought maybe if it didn't matter, maybe it was a vinculum.
Yep.
Okay. I've never known that.
You know who taught me that? Chaka.
Boom Chaka.
Boom Chaka.
Really?
Yes. She used to bring that word up in my first year here.
Let me explain to you something, Dave, and I know this is not a quiz, but when a conductor, I'll use a drumstick since it's handy. When a conductor is conducting their pattern, this magical spot where the beat always occurs, has a special name. And there's no reason to know this, but I always teach my kids, it's called the ictus, the I-C-T-U-S.
Nice.
I have no idea why, or something that stuck in my brain in college called the ictus. I said, it sounds like you got a disease. Like, hey, Bob, is your ictus acting up again? But no, it's just a conducting term. All right, now we're ready to move on to the last segment. Incoherent. We have 3 cards, Dave. 3 that I gave you, and I have 3. We're going to do a 30-second, or we don't have to exactly keep it to 30, but we'll just kind of eyeball it. We're going to hold up these cards. Ladies and gentlemen, we did Incoherent once before. This is where we have cards that have nonsense words back to back, but when you sound it out, they actually make a word. So we're going to see if Dave and I each have 3 for each other, and we'll see at the end of the round, at the end of all 3, who has the most points, or if we tie or whatever. So would you like, as I asked Will, would you like to go first, or shall you? Yeah, I know. End of the day.
Yes, I will hold my card up first.
Okay, you'll hold your card up first. Okay, pleased to be holding it up so that I can see it, and just right next to your face maybe so the camera can get it too. And I'm not going to set a timer. You can kind of keep one in your head if you want. Okay, go ahead.
You ready?
I'm ready. Ease tours Hunte. Ease tours. It's better back there. Yeah. Easy tours Hunte. Sunday tours. Easter Sunday.
There it is.
All right.
That's it.
All right. So ding, 1 point. 1 point. Okay.
I was hoping I had a better chance after watching you last time.
Was that within 30?
Oh, I don't know.
Okay. Okay.
You got it. I'm proud of you.
Dave, yours?
Dime skewer. Dime skewer? Dime skewer. Skewer? Oh, no. Dime skewer.
I can give you a hint. There is a hint on the back.
What is the hint?
The hint is...
I feel like this is... I feel like I'm close, but I'm not.
Billboards.
That did not help.
Bright billboards.
Dime skewer.
Bright billboards in New York.
I am completely lost,
Bright billboards in New York.
You're just making me feel stupider.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
No, it's Dime skewer. I'm not missing it.
Okay.
What is it? Oh, come on.
You were so close.
In my head, it wasn't. I was nowhere near that.
Oh, you're nowhere near.
Nowhere near
Nowhere
that.
near Times Square.
No.
Okay.
It makes sense now that I see it.
Right. Yeah. Some of these click for me, and some are just miserable. I don't get them. Will and Preston got them fast.
They were good. That's why
they were so good.
Thought I might have a chance.
Yeah. All right. Give me my next one.
You
Dave.
ready?
I'm ready.
This one's tough.
Okay.
You sure?
Okay. My fingers are crossed. That's so long.
Mm-hmm.
Of reason, for of reason, pins for of reason, reason. I feel like that last one's reason. Wreath in cap, pins. It's hard because you don't know where to divide it. Ink pens, ink pens for a reason. Oh wait, for a reason. Wreath in cap pins. Wreath. People at home are going crazy. Like, you're saying it for a reason. Think cap pins. Free think cap pins. I got for a reason. Everything happens for a reason.
There it is. You were on it the whole time.
Oh my gosh! But that, I feel like I probably
you were
buzzed
saying
past 30.
the everything. You were saying all. I was like,
I know. How can I? You just can't. Sometimes you just can't hear it.
Yeah,
that's crazy. All right, Dave. Here's your next one.
Okay. Kobe Bryant.
Yeah, see, some of them just click.
Yeah, there's click. Sometimes if you say it the right way, it's all it takes.
Correct. But if you get it wrong in your head for the first time.
Well, that dime starting with the D, it throws
instead of time. Yeah.
Instead with the T, that really does change it. Even though it's the same sound.
You have to do the Will and I language. Dime square. We don't say things quite right. Dime square. See, that would have helped because that's how we would say Times Square in our stupid language. All right. Okay. What's my last one?
Last one. This is for the whole thing.
By the
way,
I haven't had any AC in 4 days in this room, Dave. Can you tell? It's got a lot of.
It's actually not as bad as I would thought.
It's not
I guess
bad today,
last week was probably pretty bad.
Oh, Monday. Well, Monday and Tuesday were terrible.
Okay.
And yesterday. Today was the first cool day this week where I could open the door, but it's came in Friday. It was working great. You know, my room always is ice cold.
Yeah.
Monday came in.
Well, you do the light trick.
Yeah, they're not even blowing air. Like, they're not even on. So it's just stagnant in here. It's terrible. All right.
It's not the fuses. I used to love when Tom would come through and fix the fuse and be ready again.
I don't know. Got to put in a work order. Who knows when that'll get.
Oh, man.
Yeah. We'll be in the new building. All right, go ahead.
All right, you ready?
I'm ready. Fidget spinners.
Oh,
we were just talking about that. That was easy.
All right,
here's your last one.
Okay.
So I got 3 for 3.
You're 3 for 3.
Here's your last one.
Unbeatable.
Sorry. Up a little higher.
Chicken and do waffles. Chicken and waffles?
That's it.
All right.
Chicken
there
and
we
waffles.
go.
So 3-2.
Times Square makes me lose. That's
I know.
rough.
You lost on Times Square. No wonder you want to live in LA.
Seriously. I guess it's coming back full circle there.
Ladies and gentlemen, that's what you call a callback to the previous segment. All right, Dave, I'm going to close with a joke.
All right.
Here we go. A man goes into a restaurant, Dave, and he orders some takeout food, and he sits down to wait for his food at the bar. While he waits, he grabs a hand. It's another peanut joke. Everybody loved my peanut joke from last week. One person, I think it was Grandma Betty, who sent me a comment that said, "That was very gross, but very funny." I said, "I'll have to put out a warning next time." She's like, no, it was
like, that was one of the grossest. Like,
yes, but funny.
It wasn't vulgar.
No,
it wasn't like
just
that gross that way.
Right.
Just when you think about that situation, that was bad.
But funny, because you wouldn't expect when you see a bowl of peanuts, or you might expect the woman to say, "Oh, honey, don't eat," Okay. So man goes in a restaurant, orders takeout, sits down to wait for his food. While he waits, he grabs a handful of peanuts from the bowl on the counter. And as he starts to chew, he hears some voice from somewhere saying, "That's a beautiful tie. Is it silk? Very nice choice." And he's like, looking around, he can't figure out what it is. He looks around, didn't see anyone, so shrugs it off. A few minutes later, grabs another handful of peanuts, and hears another voice. "Man, those shoes are styling. Are they Italian leather? They look great." He's looking at bartenders down the other end of the bar. There's nobody next to him, nobody behind him. Can't figure it out. A little freaked out, he sits there, he's waiting for his food. He grabs one more handful of peanuts and goes, this time the voice continues saying, "That suit looks fantastic. Is that Armani? Wonderful colors." And he gets freaked out when the bartender comes over with his food. He says, "Hey, look, I've been sitting here hearing these voices telling me how great my tie, my shoes, and my suit look. What's up with that? Am I going crazy?"
Hold on. Are the peanuts complimentary?
Dave, you got the joke.
Sorry.
The waiter nonchalantly replies, "It's just the peanuts." The man said, "The peanuts?" He says, "Yes, they're complimentary." And
I'm sorry.
Besides, you know what? No, it's okay.
I saw it coming.
Besides complimentary peanuts, there's complimentary ankles. See, I picked that with you in mind.
We are going to be dealing with those.
Actually not, but complimentary add up to 90, right? Supplementary add up to 180? Or is it the...
Yes, no, yeah, that's right.
Yes,
we
no,
just
yeah.
had to give that. Yeah.
Wait,
yeah,
say
yes,
that again.
no.
Yes, no, yeah.
No, yes. Yes, no.
Dave, thank you for sitting in. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
I hope you had fun.
It was a blast.
And I might call on you in the future because I know there are times where Will gets very busy, especially during basketball season. So
okay, well, if the reviews come in positive, I'm here.
I don't see why they wouldn't. We're matching shirts. What else could they complain about?
What more do you want?
And next time you can bring things that you notice in the world that are weird. Just keep notes in your phone and save them for the next time I need a guest podcast host. And you can complain about things too, or maybe we'll do some people or things you can live without. Those are fun. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for watching and listening, and do that thing where you ring the bell on the YouTube channel and spread the word. We're up to 98, I noticed, Dave. 2 away from my goal of 100. So if we can just get 2 more
you've been
people.
at that threshold for the last few weeks.
Yeah, we can. And you know what? It really doesn't matter if we make it. I like seeing it grow, and I like making people laugh. That's my favorite part. So leave us some comments on how you did on the games, how you did on Incohearant, and questions about how math was for you when you were in school, or thoughts about, just what we were talking about with math. Anything we talked about today, just leave us a comment. We'll add it to a future blackmail segment, which is pretty long for next week. We're going to do blackmail in our next podcast. So thank you, everybody. Have a good night. See you later.